Hey girl, hey! Hey dude, hey! Hey! Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. As you may or may not know, I've actually been a makeup artist for 11 years now. I've worked in Sydney in the fashion industry for pretty much that whole time. I started off assisting Ray Morris, who's an amazing makeup artist. So I assisted Ray for about 4 years, from the age of 15 till 19. And then I signed to the same agency that she was represented by. I was represented by them for about 6 years until last year when I decided to stop doing makeup full-time as a freelancer and focus more on content creation. So I've pretty much had a core collection of products that I've used for most of my career. I have added some new ones along the way, but I thought I would share some of those products with you and show you what is in my professional makeup kit. I do keep my professional makeup kit separate to my personal makeup kit. I mean, there might be a couple of products that occasionally cross over, but generally I keep it very separate. So this will be the beginning of a series because there are so many products. I don't want to make an hour-long video, so I thought I would do it in sections of the makeup kit. So this is the first video, and today I would like to talk about base products. I've pretty much always worked on photo shoots or TV commercials or fashion shows, things like that, where I often have the opportunity to watch the face and how the makeup develops and works throughout the day. So I always have an opportunity to fix it up wherever needed. So I rarely work on things like weddings where you do the makeup and then leave it for the day. So the products I use are products that I find really easy to keep an eye on. So I'm going to start by talking about primers, and this particular primer that I'm about to show you I have used for as long as I can remember. This is the Laura Mercier foundation primer. This is not the radiance one or the bronzing one, this is just the plain old primer. It comes out kind of similar to a moisturizer. It has no real color. It blends into the skin really nicely. And to be honest, it works on most skin types and it just gives a really natural finish. So this is probably the primer that I've used the most out of all of them because it's just so versatile and just works for most occasions. If I need a makeup to last a particularly long time, I always go for the HOURGLASS Veil Mineral Primer. This is oil-free, so I find that it works really well on oily skin types, but to be honest, it works on most skin types, in my experience. It does come out white, so it's kind of intimidating, I think, because it can make the skin look a bit white or a bit greyish before you put on your foundation. Even though the color of it is a little off-putting, I find that it works so well, and it is by far the most long-lasting primer I've ever used, ever, and I find that it makes makeup last a really long time. If I'm working with really dry skin, I will use one of two primer options. First is the number 28 primer serum by HOURGLASS. I love HOURGLASS products, and their primers are just probably some of my favorites ever. So this comes out just like a serum. It's completely clear, really easy to blend, and it just feels like a dream on the skin. It feels so nice and it's so smooth, and I wouldn't say it's the most long-lasting primer, so if I need the makeup to last a particularly long time, I'll often mix this with the Veil Mineral Primer, but it's really good for dry skin, and it's also really good to give a really nice dewy glow. The other option for dry skin is to use some oil on the skin. You guys know that I absolutely love oils, so providing that my client is totally okay with putting oil on the skin, I will often just I'll often just massage that into the skin and skip primer altogether. Or I may pop one of those other primers on top of it. But the oil helps to give a really nice, smooth, moisturized base before putting another primer on top. For super porous or oily skin, I always use the Benefit Professional. This is awesome to mattify the skin a little bit, but also just to minimize the look of pores, which is really helpful for a flawless looking makeup. It does have the tiniest bit of color to it, but nothing off-putting at all. It massages into skin really easily. You can just see the difference immediately, even just on the back of my hand. It makes the skin look so smooth. The last primer I include in my professional makeup kit is the Stila One Step Correct. This primer is particularly good if you have skin concerns such as redness. It really helps to brighten the skin. It's a little scary looking because of the multiple colors, but it really is quite a nice primer to use. This is what it looks like. It looks like a little rainbow. And it does look a little light on the skin, I guess you would say. Like, it does put a tiny little bit of colour there, but it blends out pretty well. And this is just really nice for a natural finish primer. And it works with most foundations that I use as well. So this right here is my entire primer selection, and I pretty much never need a primer other than these. These seem to do the job perfectly. Now onto foundation, and one of the first foundations I ever started using was MAC Face and Body. As you know, I like really natural, dewy looking makeup, so this is perfect for that. So MAC Face and Body have a really good color range. They come in cool, warm and neutral tones, I'm pretty sure. I mostly have warm tones in my kit. I never really use cool tones, to be honest. I do like neutral tones though. I do like neutral tones. Even though they have such a wide range of colors, I find that having, say, 4 or 6 shades in my kit is absolutely plenty and will be able to mix and match for most skin tones. This product is very, very liquidy, and it's actually really good for applying to the body as well if you have some discoloration on, say, your legs and your arms and you need it to look really flawless. It's very dewy and it gets quite tacky when you work it into the skin, but the coverage is really sheer and the overall look is just beautiful. Probably my favourite foundation of all time for clients is the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Foundation. This is quite expensive. It's around $90 a bottle, and it's not the biggest bottle in the world. So this I usually only keep, again, 4 or 5 shades in my makeup kit, and I always find it really easy to mix and match to suit any skin tone. From what I've seen, they don't have any super dark shades available over here, but that's pretty common. In Australia, we just don't seem to get the full foundation shade ranges over here, which is quite unfortunate. But I do have a couple of foundations that I do have darker shades in. But this is really good for paler shades. Shade 6 is really good for an olive skin tone. 6.5 is really good with a tan. Is it 2 or 3 that I use for quite pale porcelain looking skin? They do have a really nice pale to mid-range color range. The finish is just beautiful, and I've never met anyone who is allergic to this, so this is by far my most used foundation ever. I do not do a job without this in my kit. The finish is, I would say, a dewy natural finish. Obviously this is too dark for my skin. It is just the most beautiful product. If anyone ever asks me what foundation they should get, pretty much no matter what their concern is, I'll say get the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk. So those 2 foundations I've had in my kit since the beginning of my career, but I have had 2 new additions. The first one is the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Foundation. I only have this in 3 or 4 shades, so again I have to mix and match, and I find this is good for someone who wants a little bit more coverage than, say, the Giorgio Armani. They have a really nice colour range available. It's still a liquid. I really love liquid foundations. They're my favourite to work with. And I would say that it's a natural matte finish, which again works really well on most skin types. The other new addition is the Charlotte Tilbury Light Wonder Foundation. This is SPF 15, which is also really helpful. I only have this in 2 shades, so I really want to get more. I really want to stock this entire range in my kit because I love it so much. It's very dewy. It's got a little bit more coverage than Face and Body, I would say, but I actually just love this product so much. I've used it on myself countless times, but I do often pack this in my makeup kit for jobs. I wouldn't use it on, say, a wedding probably, unless I really wanted sheer dewy makeup, but I have used this on a number of photo shoots. It blends so nicely, and it actually just feels really nice when blending it out too. As you can see, that blended super quickly, and it's just a really nice finish. So even though I can most of the time mix the foundations I have to suit all the skin tones that I work with, I also do like to keep these Body Shop shade adjusting drops in my kit just in case. I actually used this one here, which is the darkening drops. I used this as a foundation on a dark skin model recently, and it was perfect. I find a lot of dark skin foundations that are stocked in Australia are very warm, and this is quite ashy and neutral, so it was perfect for her skin colouring. Then these ones here are lightening drops. I gotta be honest, I generally use the darkening drops more because I have quite a few pale foundations that do the job, but either way, these are so helpful to have in the kit. So anytime a foundation isn't working quite right and you can't seem to mix the shade properly, these are really handy. So even though they're liquidy, they're not super liquidy, if that makes sense. Like, they don't move around too much on the hand. They blend really nicely when you have the right primer on, but if you don't have the right primer on, they're a little, maybe tacky is the word to use, as in a little harder to spread around. Seriously, so worth having these in your makeup kit. Now onto concealer, and I'll firstly show you the one that I've had in my kit again since the beginning of my career. This is the Kevyn Aucoin Sensual Skin Enhancer, which I believe is actually supposed to be a foundation, but it's seriously heavy duty. I will quickly show you guys. I'll get the tiniest little amount. Can you see that? Tiny amount. I actually don't even know if you can, oh yeah, you can see it a bit. So the tiniest amount goes a really long way. It is very thick. This is kind of what I've used if anyone wants a really heavy full coverage foundation. I would use a little bit of this. I would still blend it out a lot, but it's also a really good concealer, particularly if you have pimples. So it's really good to cover those. These unfortunately are no longer available in Australia, so I'm pretty sure the last time I bought them from the Kevyn Aucoin online store directly. They aren't super expensive, so again, I only keep, I think I might have 6 of these, but I probably only keep 4 of them in my kit at any one time, and again, really easy to mix and match. I've used quite a few MAC concealers throughout my years, but at the moment I'm using these little palettes here because I find them so useful because of the shade range. I actually have 1 or 2 more, but I'm not entirely sure where they are at the moment. These are the Pro Conceal and Correct palettes. Show you what they look like. You can see that they've been used quite a lot. So basically they just have a whole bunch of different shades in one palette. So it's really easy to keep in your makeup kit. They're also really small and thin, so they store really easily. I'll show you a little bit of one on the back of my hand. It's also nice that they have the peachy tone if you like to color correct. So they blend out super well. I mostly use liquids underneath the eyes, but again, this is awesome all over the face and particularly good for covering up blemishes. One of the creamy, liquidy concealers that I use is the Touche Eclat by Yves Saint Laurent. Again, I only have this in a few shades, probably only 3 shades. I don't find this to be the most full coverage concealer. I know they promoted it as a concealer highlighter, but I would usually only use this underneath the eyes or on any areas that I feel need a little bit of brightening, but not a lot of coverage. It's a little click pen, which makes it really easy to use, but obviously if you're working on makeup clients, you can't use it straight on the face like that because it's not very hygienic, so I always put it on the back of my hand first. But again, really easy to blend and just a nice product to have in your kit if you ever need a little bit of brightening around the face. For under eye concealers, I love the Too Faced Born This Way concealer, which is very new to me, but I'm obsessed with it. And the other one I love is the Bye Bye Under Eye from IT Cosmetics. This is the illumination, but I also have the original Bye Bye Under Eye, which is probably what I've used more in my kit, only because this is a new addition for me. So these are perfect for underneath the eyes or just a bit of colour correcting around the face. Again, with this type of product, I always put it on the back of my hand before applying it to someone's face, just for hygiene purposes. The Bye Bye Under Eye is a lot thicker than the Too Faced Born This Way, but they both blend out equally as nicely. A little goes a long way, that is for sure. The Born This Way spreads a lot further because it is a thinner consistency, but the IT Cosmetics gives a little bit more coverage than the Born This Way. Now onto powders, and this is probably my smallest collection in my kit because, as you guys know, I'm not a big fan of powdering, and I've literally probably only had 2 clients throughout my whole career that have been obsessed with powder. And I guess that's because people book you for the style of makeup that you like. So I just don't really use a lot of powder. The one I've definitely used the most and for the longest amount of time is the Laura Mercier Translucent Loose Setting Powder. This is awesome if you're into baking. This is perfect. It's also perfect for applying to the eyelids, which is what I mostly use it for. Also, it just doesn't make your foundation look too thick or cakey. It spreads out really nicely and just mattifies in an instant. It's a really easy powder to use. If anyone really desperately wants a setting powder or to mattify their skin, which, like I said, doesn't happen a lot, I would use the NARS Light Reflecting Setting Powder. This is the shade Translucent Crystal, or Crystal, but it's translucent powder. I don't know. There are a lot of words on the back of this packaging. So this here looks pretty well white, I would say, but it's a really nice powder just to mattify any area of the face, really. I find it really easy for that. But for setting the eyelids, I pretty much always would use a loose translucent powder. I just find that it does the job a little better in that area. And the last product that I keep in my base area of my makeup kit is MAC Fix Plus, and I just love using this. Sometimes I use it as a primer, but more often than anything I will use it to spray the face after using powders so that the face doesn't look powdery. That's how much I'm not into powders. Like, I will do anything to make skin look dewy or very natural, and I find that powders can often look a little powdery on the skin. So I love this, and this is just really good if someone does want to mattify their skin but doesn't want it to look too matte or too powdery. Spraying this over the top just works wonders. And while I'm at it, so that is it for the base category. I would say these products are my go-to. I pretty much have these in my kit at all times. Occasionally I will add extra bits and pieces, but that's usually when I'm not feeling very organized and I kind of freak out and, you know, get a bit flustered and just add more than what I need. But with these products, I tend to be able to work with any skin type, any skin shade, and any client. I've never had any issues where I've been like, sorry, can't do that. Do you know what I mean? I feel like these products really have my back. They have me covered. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for more what's in my makeup kit videos, and I will go through each individual category and show you what's in there. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video very soon.